Okay guys, I'm going to be doing a review of the PitBoss Austin XL pellet smoker. To give you an idea of this thing, this is my minivan with the back seats completely folded down, and it had to put the second row seat down as well. The box is roughly 2 by 2 by 4. It is enormous, so we will see how this goes, and we'll see if we can get some videos as we package or unpackage it. So here we go. Okay, this is the way this bad boy comes. I just took the top off. You don't have to like take it out of a box. It is at least slip crated. So let's see what we got. It looks like that is the bottom tray for the rack, or for the cart, if you will. This whole thing is together. Side smoker. It appears to be relatively already assembled. Again, this thing's enormous. So it is the PitBoss Austin XL. It says 1,008 square inches. That includes the top rack. I want to say I read like 630 or 650 square inches at the actual cooking level. I like the color though. It looks just as good in person. It's sharp. So here it is open. Looks like they've got all the accessories and everything, like the chimney's off, you can see in there. Looks like they've got it all in here. This thing is packaged really well. They did styrofoam along the edges, everything. I mean, it's really well packaged. You can see down here they got all the electronics protected, and then they got another box down there. So we're getting closer. Okay, this makes sense. When you look at the instruction manual, what it says is you actually put the entire cart together and get everything bolted together, and then you just, it shows you on the next page, you actually just, then you pick the whole unit up as one and set it on there and fasten it. So we'll see how it goes. Well, contrary to what this may look like, I did not buy it at IKEA, but everything is very nicely separated out into hardware packages, labeled, and ready to go. All of these legs and everything are individually wrapped and separated with styrofoam. The packaging is really impressive. Even down to the grates are all individually packaged. I don't even know what's down there yet. We're getting closer. So we got the cart put together, and what it is it's one main shelf, 2 legs that have regular caster wheels, 2 legs that have axled wheels, and then there's a two short little connector pieces, and then 2 larger connector pieces. If you can see on these when you're putting them together, what they are is a flange connection with a welded in nut. Not the greatest design. You can't use a screw gun, but yet they're you can't use a gun unless you've got like a long tip on it, which I'm actually using an impact, so my fault I guess, but still, if they gave you a little more flange there, or at least angled them away, like this one you can see is angled this way, it's going that way and away, it's really hard to get a utensil on that. So it's coming this way. I actually ground that one out. I'm gonna have to fix him, or I stripped him out. So anyway, not the best. It's kind of flimsy, but I think it'll sturdy up once I get it all locked down. Okay, now it's going to be hard to see this, but here I can light it with the LED on the drill. Each one of these is a split lock washer, and there are, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 of them, and some of them down here, I mean, they're well thought out, but I would say put your screw gun away. It's just as easy to get a bite on them with a screwdriver, and unless you've got like a real long tip, then you could do it. But really, they go in easy with the screwdrivers. That's probably my fault just for trying to ram it. But it appears that pretty much all my screws are in. I got to get some accessories on, and we'll be good to go. Okay, we'll do another one tomorrow, but this took me about 45 minutes with the help of one jovial 10-year-old. Hello, Lillian. And I got to tell you, a couple little quibbles on maybe some flange connections, but for the most part, this thing went together and was extraordinarily well thought out in terms of how it was packaged. Yeah, so like that, I'll do one tomorrow. It's got a stainless steel removable tray over here that'll come in handy. It's actually got a safety, like a fire gasket right here that went on, like a cloth heat gasket, screw on. Again, I mean, it's dark out here, so I'll do another one tomorrow once I actually fire it up. But I'm really impressed with the engineering that went behind this thing in terms of at least packaging and assembly. We'll see how it cooks. Okay, good morning. Anyway, like I was saying, the fit and finish on this thing I'm really impressed with. The cart Yeah, I mean it looks heavier than it really is, but once you get it all put together, it actually I think it'll do the job fine. Comes with a drip tray down there. Let's just say yesterday you got a heat gasket in here that comes with it. You got a hood for your chimney. 2 meat probes that we'll be using later today. This is a stainless steel tray that I think will be good for coming in and going out of the house. And then I'm getting ready to plug it in. I haven't done that yet. Looks like the feed rate on this thing, like I said, this holds 31 pounds, which would be about 3/4 of a bag. I got the big bag. And you got a sight window there, and you got your gauges. And here's your hopper. The one thing I thought was interesting was the drip bucket was in this, and this stuff was all screwed together. So you had to unscrew it and get that out and then re-screw it, which not a big deal, but just seemed weird. So anyway, we're going to get it filled up. We're going to get plugged in. And here, let me show you the inside. Lil, you want to lift that for me, sweetie? All the way. Yeah, so heavy metal coated racks. I mean, these things feel good. So let's get that out of there. And you can't really see it. This actually lifts out what they call their flame broiler. I mean, probably a little bit gimmicky. But that opens up, and then that's your burn pot in there. So I don't really plan on doing any of that. We'll probably just do mostly slow cooking in here. And if I gotta sear stuff on the flat plate in the oven, then that's, or on the stovetop in the house, and that's what I'll do. So, but we honestly don't cook that many steaks on the grill. Steaks are meant to be broiled and put in the oven. Sorry, maybe a rough opinion, but that's the way steakhouses do it. That's the way we do it. So this is going to be pretty much chickens and roasts and true like smoking and grilling for the most part. So, and hamburgers, yes, Lil, and hamburgers. So anyway, we'll get it loaded up and fired up, and we'll see what we think. All right, I got everything put back together. This thing turns into a flame in a hurry. Maybe I should have videoed it. From the time you turn that knob up from smoke to hot, the smoke difference is amazing. And now it's roaring. So I'm going to let it sit here and roar for about a half an hour and do the burn off. The auger's running and then stopping. Temperature, you can see down there, is starting to move. It's gone from 50 to 100 in about 45 seconds or so. This thing will put out some serious heat. So Lil's wanting to put the grates back in. Okay, sounds good. Put them in, Lil. Let's get them. I'm just doing the initial burn off, and something I wanted to point out. This thing's only been running. I got the timer going so that I know. This thing's been running for 1 minute and 4 seconds, and it's climbed from 50 degrees to 265. Holy cow. I mean, this thing says it takes 20 minutes to get to temperature. It's going to take 5 minutes to get to temperature. And a buddy of mine confirmed that with his. He's got the tailgater, the smaller one. But he said these things, my biggest concern was I almost bought a part gas, part charcoal, because I want to be able to do hamburgers or hot dogs quickly after work when I don't have time to really barbecue. And so he bought this, and my biggest concern with one of these was my gosh, I'm just going to do a charcoal grill if it takes forever to get to temperature, and I won't bother going to gas. That's what I've come from. It's just a Weber kettle. And he said, oh no, Derrick, he said it takes 5 to 7 minutes and it gets up to 350 to where I can cook burgers. And man, he is right. He said I'm at 285 and it's probably been 2 minutes since I started. Well, I'm only about 12 or 13 minutes into the burn off, and I'm running at 510 degrees right now. Deck lid reads 6. I'll get that figured out. I'm not sure which one to believe or what have you. We'll get that figured out. But and I'm up in northern Indiana, or central Indiana anyway. So there could be some the P settings on this where you can actually dial in the P0 through P7. You can actually dial in the auger rates, and there are ways I think you can get that a little bit more accurate. And then deck lids are never accurate, so I'm not worried about those. But in terms of fluctuation of temperature, that's what it says. I've got him set to cook at 5, and he's actually running at 520 and still climbing. So I'm not sure that 5 is really 5. It says cook at 5 there, but if you look down here, it just says high. So I think high is just how high can we get it. So we'll see what that looks like. But once it gets done with a 30-minute burn off here, I'm going to move it down to about 350, and I'm going to see how it holds it. And then I'm going to move it down to about 200. I'm going to see how it holds it there. So anyway, not I'm relying on its own reading, not doing different probes laying on the deck or anything like that. I really don't care that much. I'm not a purist. I just want my food to be tasty. So anyway, that's where we're at. All right, guys. So if there's any question about the capacity of the Austin XL for PitBoss, I have 15, 16 bratwursts. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11 enormous hamburgers on there. Those things are like the size of my fist. And another 3, 6, 9, 12 regular sized chicken drums. And it's spread out nicely, but yet also pretty much at capacity. I could probably get another 2 or 3 bratwursts on there and be a little more judicious and maybe sneak in another cheeseburger or hamburger or chicken drum. But for the most part, she's full, and that is a ton of food. I really like my hopper lid for a workstation. Works out really nice. And then I haven't even used this over here, and I probably won't even really get to the meat probes today because I'm not doing anything big. Anyway, I got it set at 225, and it's holding it actually really, really well, and we'll see how she goes. Okay, so I have a new backhanded compliment / complaint. This thing is deep, but I can't get to it with the top rack. Now, I could take the top rack off, I guess, or maybe load the top rack after, but if you're going to want to flip anything or anything like that, it's tough. So anyway, that's just one thing to keep in mind. Like, this thing is bigger than the hinge or top grate allows you to utilize, but it just smells fantastic as well. Okay, so I started using the probes, and not the easiest with bratwurst, obviously. But I got one in bratwurst and I got one in that chicken. This will be, I'm assuming, considerably more accurate when I get to larger pieces of meat. But probe 1 is the bratwurst, and it's showing 138 degrees right now. And then probe 2, actually they're both showing 100. They were different just a second ago. So we're getting there. But really, really cool stuff, guys, for less than $500. Okay, guys, sorry, I didn't get to sort of a wrap of this, so you're seeing a picture in here in my voice, and I apologize. But moral of the story is, I was really pleased with that thing. We took half that food, gave it to some friends of ours at church that just had a baby, and then we kept the other half, and the food was outstanding. And the purists will say, oh, that's not really barbecuing, that's not really smoking, and they are right. It is like cheating. It is like an outdoor oven. I was able to set that temperature anywhere I wanted, and it held it within, I don't know, 10 or 15 degrees or whatever, one way or another, depending on the wind or whether I open the deck or whatever. I'm really excited to move on to larger meats that I can really slow it down and smoke it. But again, basically that thing is as accurate as a electric oven, and the food is fantastic. The space is great. We'll cook some non-meat stuff on it. We'll do a lot of things coming up in the future on it, but I can't recommend this thing enough. I mean, I know it's not a Traeger, and I know, it probably won't last as long as a Traeger. It's single wall construction, etc., etc., etc. But you know what? The Traeger's a $2,000 grill, and this thing was $497. So if it lasts, greater than a quarter of the amount of time as that Traeger does for what I'm going to do with it, I win in the value market, and that's good enough for me. And like I said, go get one. I'm sold. I'm a believer. Go get one. The one thing I will add is that I went back to Walmart and picked up the $50 cover that they did stock for it, the Austin XL specific cover. You're going to want that, with the electronics and wood pellets and stuff like that in there. But again, I can't say enough about it. Food was fantastic. If we do something cool, brisket or whatever in the future, I'll try and get a video of it. But otherwise, don't be afraid of it. And especially if you want something that is relatively quick or can be relatively quick, don't be afraid of these. Like I said, go get it. Anyway, subscribe to us if you would. It's getting back to the springtime to where I'm gonna get back on the water and get some fishing and kayaking and maybe some cooler reviews, quick gear reviews as we go. So yeah, I hope you like it. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Have a lovely day.